Hi, everybody, and welcome to In the Crease, our weekly look inside the Furman women's lacrosse program. I am Dan Scott, voice of the Paladins, with lacrosse coach Kirkland Lewis. We started this last year on kind of an experimental basis and brought it back to keep you informed of what's going on as we have kind of hit the meat of the conference schedule now, heading toward the postseason. So we're going to talk about what these ladies are up to. And Kirkland, first of all, good to see you again.
You too.
And right now you're up to some pretty good lacrosse. 6-5 overall, 3-1 in the Big South Conference, playing well in the games that matter, right?
Yeah, I mean, we started out tough as we expected just in our non-conference, but have really turned the page as we've gotten into conference and just been progressively getting better, which is good.
You take the philosophy that a lot of coaches do at this level, that you want to play Power Fives, you want to do what you can do in your non-conference and use that as a way to get better and more prepared for the conference season?
Yeah, I think initially, in my first season, I didn't do it on purpose. And then this season, I was like, it was good to be challenged, and I think we should have had, again, more competitive games within some of them, but it was nice to come out with some wins out of non-conference and really start to understand how we can click on all ends of the field going into conference.
We had you on Inside Furman Athletics going back a couple of weeks, and we talked a little bit about, I won't say your ability to breathe right now, but how this season has been a little more quote-unquote routine for you because of how you took over the previous season. Do the players sense that? Do they have that same level of, I don't even know if comfortability is the right word, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's definitely structure. I think that they appreciate just having structure and
knowing what to expect.
Yeah, they know what to expect, and there's not a lot of things that we just have to be flexible on because, I was on a learning curve or everything was new. So last year it was a new conference, so there was a lot of teams that they didn't have any familiarity with playing. So this season, knowing those teams and having a little bit of history and a lot of returners has really helped things flow a little bit better.
And having a full staff.
Yes, that always helps. That always helps.
I mean, we all like to think we can do it all, but when it comes right down to it, it's nice to have some very good people on your staff. So that's great. You're coming off of a week that saw you go 2-0. With wins on the road at High Point and then here versus Winthrop. We'll talk about the Winthrop game in a bit because of the circumstances that you played in.
Yeah.
But let's talk about going on the road at High Point. A 1-point win, but a game that did not go to overtime. You got it done in regulation, right?
Yes, that's what that was the word in the last time out was we are not going in overtime.
And if you're not familiar, the reason I bring that up is because it seems like every close game since Kirkland has taken over has gone to overtime. And as much as it stresses her out, you're actually pretty good in those games, right?
Yeah, we come out on top. I said it, I think, when we beat Kennesaw in overtime this season. I'm like, well, I've never lost in overtime, so I can't complain too much. It feels good to win.
But let's talk about that win at High Point. That's a quality win on the road for your team.
Oh, yeah, it's huge. I mean, it's a historic win for the program, and I just think you could kind of feel it going in, that the team really – we knew coming off the loss from Campbell that we had to get an upset in order to really think about postseason. And so just coming out, and we really dominated the first half, believe it or not. We were up by 7 goals going into the third. So to really hold on to that win, and we played really, really well, was so exciting.
For our fans, why do you use the term historic?
It was the first time that Furman has beat High Point in their history. So I think High Point was up 3-0 in the series all time. And so for us to be able to win was huge.
And they're one of the standard bearers in the Big South, right?
They have only lost 5 big conference games in, I think, their 11 years. And they lost to us. They lost last year to Campbell. And I think maybe twice to Mercer. So it's all within these last 2 seasons. Other than that, they've been so solid at the top.
Who played well for you?
Oh man,
Everybody,
think Meg,
right?
Yeah, Meg Beal and Anna Roser played phenomenal. I think Sophie Shaw on the draw did a really nice job. And then Lily Engaged she did so well. She just was consistent the whole game. And we had a couple of our defenders that were in really tough matchups. So Amanda McCabe was on their top, High Point's top attacker, and she held her to 4 goals off of 10 shots. So that's a really, really good defensive stat for her. And I think just our freshmen, they just rose to it. Was a big pressure game for them, and they just were mentally able to just be in it and play their best.
Yeah, I get the sense that lacrosse and at least this one instance is like hockey, where everybody focuses on the goalkeeper, but oftentimes their success in goal is based on what happens with the defenders.
Absolutely.
Before the puck or the ball ever gets to that point.
Big time. Yeah. So having our defenders keep Mina Losher out to the outsides, not allowing her inside, is huge. They just way better angles for Lily to make easier saves. But yeah, we just played as a full unit defensively, which definitely attributed to the success we saw.
Is there such thing as an easy save?
I would say yes. I think Lily would agree. I've played a little bit of goalie in my time, and there are easy saves where some are just right at you, or the angle so low that there's little to no chance that it's getting in the goal, and you can eat it up pretty easily.
All right. We are in the Crease talking Furman women's lacrosse. Then you come back on Friday?
Saturday. Yeah.
Saturday, yeah. And everything else pretty much in the world had been canceled because of the weather. Softball had moved its series up with UNCG to play on Thursday. Friday was rained out and knew what the forecast called. But in our internal conversations, as we were having on the email chain about what was going to happen with softball and was lacrosse going to cancel, and the word that came down to us, if there's no lightning in the area, lacrosse is playing, right? So it's like 12 degrees and raining, and you guys are out there running around.
Yep.
And that's only a slight exaggeration, by the way.
And that's the part that, I think last week or the week before when I was looking at the weather, it said thunderstorms. And I was like, oh no, I hope we don't get delays. And then when it turned to just rain, I'm like, oh, well, it's going to be raining. It doesn't matter. But it was definitely, we say cold. It was 40 something degrees, but it felt really cold. The wind was high and it was raining hard. It wasn't just like a sprinkle of rain. It was raining really hard the whole entire game.
And it's common to play in that kind of those kind of conditions as long as there's no lightning in the area, right?
Correct. And you see it less down south, but up north they're still playing with snow around the perimeters of their field. So
otherwise you don't play.
Yeah, otherwise you don't play. And in conference it's hard to find time to get those games back in. So we'll play in the rain.
Well, and especially if you're going to win 21-4.
Oh yeah, that's a good day to do it.
Do you feel like that your team has handled the conditions better than Winthrop? Just take me through the ins and outs of that one.
I just think we were really prepared from all ends. We came into that game with the mindset that Winthrop was really going to be gunning for us. We beat them twice last year, once in overtime, and then the second was in the Big South quarterfinals. So to beat them twice, I was like, they're really going to be coming for us. We have to be ready for that emotional piece. And it was always a key to the game to overcome uncontrollables, which was the weather. So having the experience prior in the season, we played at Kennesaw, and it was very similar weather where it was raining really hard and it was a bit chilly. I think we just adapted quicker to, the stick work, the feel of the ball, and just kind of your grip on the turf. But yeah, it just felt like we were not fazed at all by the weather, which was awesome to see.
Do you have to do anything from an equipment standpoint when you're playing in weather like that?
Yeah, so we have our girls warm up with their backup sticks because the term is getting bagged out. So your pocket gets really deep, and then the ball has to be seen over the sidewall of the stick. And if it's not, then it's illegal, which could call for goals being taken off the board and things like that. So we really had them all warm up with their backup sticks to avoid their game sticks getting bagged out. And I think that just helped kind of just keep your consistency of your stick work throughout the game.
Outside of that, it's just run around and stay warm.
Correct. Yeah. Then
that's not a problem for them. You on the sideline, on the other hand.
I think they had it a little worse. And a lot of the girls chose not to wear any leggings, so they were just, and I don't think they really thought about how cold it was going to be, but we're used to it. When you're an outdoor sport, you get used to it over the years.
And again, 21-4, you'll take that.
Oh my goodness, that was a huge showing for us.
Again, I ask you who played well. Obviously, everybody, but
the nice part is that it's consistent. So Meg Beal had a great day. Anna Roser played well. Hannah Dentino played really well. She actually sticks out because she played so selfless. She had a good amount of assists. We had a couple players that had career days. Audrey Smith had her first collegiate goal. Libby Bowen had her probably career high of assists. Paige had her first hat trick. And then defensively, again, Amanda McCabe did so well defensively. She gets really tough matchups, and she just did really well. So I give a whole shout out to our defense.
Right across the board, we are in the Crease talking Furman women's lacrosse. We'll do this every Monday through the end of the season. So in your second year, and we talked about logistically how difficult things were coming in when you did last year and how things are a little more calm. The other part, or one of the multiple parts of the job of a head coach, is establishing connections and relationships with alumni. Now, this is obviously a very young program, so your alumni pool is not as deep as many programs are.
Right.
But still, that's part of your job. How has that aspect gone here in year two?
Yeah, it's been interesting. I think having such a small senior class from the year before, I've really kind of relied on them to try to bridge the communication gap of just welcoming alumni back. We did have an alumni recognition game, and so only a couple of them came back, but it's still just trying to loop people in as much as we can and give them access to the team. So I think I would still put it as a work in progress of really getting people back. And because our team has been so small, we haven't been able to do traditional things like an alumni game where I think we would get a better turnout. So we're looking forward to having those kind of events in the future.
But it is something that you're working on.
Yeah, definitely. It's something that I think it takes time, and it's really hard in the season because you're in it. But outside of that, it's just trying to reach out when we can and, just try to have small touch points throughout the year.
So let's look ahead at what is coming up this week as we kind of head down the stretch here. Pair of road games, both in conference, right? At Radford on Wednesday and at Mercer on Saturday. Let's start with Radford. What do you know?
Yeah, they have a really solid goalie. Just watching her and remembering her from last season. So I think for us, it's going to be remaining really smart with our shots. We've been having good success in our last two games shooting. So I think she's the biggest thing we have to overcome. And then obviously the draw is another huge piece where we have to be able to win over 50% of those to really make sure we have another dominating game. That's what we're kind of looking for.
And then at Mercer?
Yeah, Mercer that's a tough one. They've been playing really well. And I hope to go into that and be competitive. I think that we can beat anyone in our conference. It's just a matter of getting over the hump. I think there's kind of emotional ties with Mercer. Furman always saw Mercer when they were in the SoCon and SoCon championships, and we're never able to beat them then. So, again, it's just handling the emotions and making sure we play within our systems and continue the consistency that we've had in offensively, I think will be the biggest thing for us.
Every game is different and stands on its own merit.
Yes.
But having said that, what can hopefully a win like you got over High Point do, say, in a game like this?
Yeah. For Mercer?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it would do everything for us finishing out the rest of the season and then really thinking about postseason. When you've beat two of the top teams in the conference, and then we felt like Campbell got away from us, but it was a 1-goal game. I think going into that, there's nothing mentally blocking us from performing. So that would be the biggest boost for us, is just knowing that there's no excuses or any kind of handouts. We can do it, and we just actually have to finish. So I'm looking forward to both games, Radford and Mercer, of just seeing us have consistency and being competitive.
One thing we know, the work never stops. Monday, this particular Monday, is a day that campus is off. Students are off. No, not lacrosse. It was film study at 9 o'clock this morning, right?
Yep. They had left at 8 and went right into film. And just we're able to fine tune a lot of things, which is nice. We're not working on huge concepts anymore. So that's really been nice to see the growth in the team, and they're really becoming students of the game and seeing that reflect in the play. So this film was definitely more fun than I think some of our other ones have been in the past.
Well, as we get ready to wrap it up, you said something that I think is worth exploring a bit before we say goodbye. You said they're becoming students of the game. These ladies have been playing lacrosse pretty much their whole lives.
Yeah.
But they find out it's a different game from what they're used to in high school when you get into the Division I level.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's just understanding that what got you here is great and you have to keep your fundamentals, but there's always room for growth and building on and being as versatile as possible. And so we really push them to keep watching film, keep watching themselves. We tape all of our practices. So it's really important for them to understand all the options out of one look, especially offensively, understand what our inaction or late decision making might lead to on defense. And so I think that's starting to click for them, which is really, really great.
And what a lot of freshmen find out when they get to this level is they were the best player on their team in high school and could get away with certain things just because physically they were better.
Yeah.
And when they get to this level, they're playing against the best players at their schools.
Absolutely.
And physically, everybody is the same. Game is faster. People are stronger.
Yep.
So there's for a lot of college athletes, getting on a college campus is really the first time they've faced serious adversity in their athletic careers.
Yeah, it is. And that's why, even in a game like Winthrop where we're winning up by 10 plus goals, we have moments where we're like, you're going rogue or you're going back to what you did in high school. Just because it's easy doesn't mean it's right. And so that's the mental piece that really has to be consistent and muscle memory to always do the right thing, always play within the system, no matter who the opponent is.
Hey, if they go rogue, the coach goes into DEFCON 5.
Correct.
Reels them back.
Correct. Screaming from the sideline.
Come over here and watch with me for a little bit, right?
Let me talk to you real quick.
That's outstanding. All right, 2 road games this week at Radford, at Mercer. You can watch the videos on the schedule link at FurmanPaladins.com. We'll give you a chance to watch the videos. You can also follow along on Stat Broadcasts. So plenty of opportunities to keep up with what's going on. And then when we're here next week, we'll be talking about some home games coming up, right?
Yeah, we are on the road for the next 3,
Yeah.
and then we'll be back for Senior Day, and that's
Nice.
our last home game. Yep.
All right, so we'll talk about that next week. It's been good catching up with you
Yeah,
again.
you too. Thank you.
This has been In the Crease, our look at women's lacrosse with Kirkland Lewis. Thank you for joining us. We'll be back with you again next Monday. Until then, for Kirkland and all of us at Furman, I'm Dan Scott saying God bless you and so long, everybody.